G'day guys, Galvin, Coaching Company New Zealand. But this video is for Eric and Eric over in the USA. They're building an SC400 and they've got a Atom. I think it's mainly a drift car. Probably if I looked on the internet, I saw some photos of it the other day and I'm like, I know whose car that is. That's Eric's one. And it's really easy because they're both called Eric. It does get a little confusing on the phone, but we're just called Eric. Anyway, we're going to go through some tuning. We're going to do some setup. And there's a video coming about why I do a PC log. So I've asked them to give me a PC log because it logs everything in that ECU. Not just the parameters that we set on the logging. So when we go up here, we go logging, setup logging. If we go PC logging, I do manual on, okay, and I just set all parameters. I just go everything and I put everything in there, okay. Add all, either add all, every single one of them. It's fantastic, okay, and it's really good for diagnosing. Then once you get up and you get it driving, of course you don't want to drive with your PC on in the car all the time, so you do ECU logging, which is that one. And so I put the main stuff in there, and so you're not working that ECU as hard, and hopefully you get more distance, more time, more logging time. The X's save a lot more than the plus ECUs, so that's, I've asked them to do a PC log, and we're going to go okay. So you've got to go up here, you've got to manually turn it on, push record. They do a run. They then stop it and save as. They save the log and then they send it to me. And they did forget to send me the tune profile, or the base map, we can call it. The map, they sent me that as well. So I've got the map that they were last running on. They were driving it in the USA. I'm here in New Zealand and I'm looking at their tuning, their log file. And their, and I've got their map. I'm not going to call it a base map anymore. Well, we're still kind of working on getting a base map. Okay. So straight away, I got here, look, we got some faults. Now this is an interesting one that I haven't come across before, because I can see analog volt 1 is low. And then suddenly I'm like, I can clear fault codes, well, if the issue was attached, but I'm going to have to go through and see how to check what the other fault codes are. But the guys, we need to clear that. Okay, we need to work out what those fault codes are, and they need to be sorted and addressed, because there's no point in me moving forward until that's done. I can look at where the input pins here. This is the analog inputs, and it could just be because they've had stuff unplugged. No big deal. But we still don't want to see that screen with fault codes. AN temp 1, AN temp 2, AN volt 1 is a TPS. So we're going to have a bit of a look at that. Okay, internal map is off because they've got an Atom, not a Monsoon. It's running very rich because it doesn't have a map sensor. That'll be the why that's running very rich, because look, we've got lambda, we've got to have a map sensor. Otherwise, we've got to tune it on TPS, and I don't normally tune on these on TPS unless it's maybe got a little throttle bodies. So that's going to be why there is an issue. It's going to be pretty simple to get sorted. So I'm going to communicate that. Well, they're going to watch this video. Eric and Eric's going to be sitting in America, which is probably pretty close to midnight, actually. And they'll be going, oh, we've got a sort of map sensor, because that's your primary load. Let's go look at the logging and just confirm my suspicions, shall we? Because that's why we're here. Wait, I've got it here. Knock, idle, timing, logging, map 100 kPa. So it thinks it's got wide open throttle, and that's why they adjust the throttle the map. That it's running crappy, because if we go to tuning, now I'm jumping around quick because this is specifically for the guys, for Eric and Eric. If I do it on configuration, one really cool thing about the configuration is it brings up this help menu. So if you're unsure, you can read it. And you know what? Even I sit down sometimes, because especially like if there's a lot going on, it's really nice to have that little bit of a reminder there. We've always got the help file up here too, with lots more information, and there's way more in there than a normal person can read. I'm sure there's some people that did read it all, and once upon a time I would sit down and read them all, but there's even too much for me with everything going on. So help file, use the search function, really great. And then in here it's got a bit of a rundown of what's going on, so that's really helpful as well. So if I go to tuning, we'll see up the side here, it's in manifold gauge pressure. So you can have it however you want, whether you like manifold gauge or map. Okay, it's pretty much the same thing in a different form. And I need to do a video on manifold gauge pressure, because that's important to know that difference between gauge pressure and map. Okay. Because this engine is NA, all we've got is the vacuum side of it. So that's the first atmosphere is where we're tuning. And what we're going to find in the numbers through here is it's going to just stay in that bottom line, because there's no load sensor. Okay, we're not going up in here. It should actually idle up here when you're watching it, and then as it drops, when you're revving it, it should come down here, and full throttle's down here. Now, if I go up here to logging, and this is pretty cool, and I push, oh wait, if I go to the log file, logging, oh no, I go to this one, don't mind me, and we've got this navigator, we're right over here. Let's go right back, take this little line, and we're going to put it right back over here. Okay, and then I'm going to go, here's our map sensor, and I go to tuning, and I go logging, and I push play. This is their engine, and at the moment you can see here at the top we've got, I can't point with my fingers, at the top we've got the engine speed. Oh look, they've started the engine and they're revving it. Oh, they were trying to start it. Yeah, they're trying to start it. You can see the little rectangle moving around, and they're trying to start it. Here we go. There he goes, and it's running. Notice how it's staying at the bottom. That'll be where the problem is, guys. Look at it. Doesn't move, and that's why it's running rich, and that's why we're having problems. So as soon as we put a load input into the computer, put that map sensor in, we're going to have some action. So let's hope they've wired it. So, and this is one of the reasons why I run a Monsoon. They have an internal map sensor. There is, and also why I asked for a PC lock, okay, because it gives me everything in there. But I can't see how they've wired it when they're sitting in the US, but I can see that here's a problem. You see, look, it's still running. And what it's doing right now, if I go over to logging here, that's the RPM it's doing, and it's actually running through the log and basically playing it back as it's going. And this is really, really helpful when you're doing these sorts of jobs. I don't think it's going to give me an oil pressure, because I don't think they've got one in there. They said they have some sort of timing cut. There's the timing, so I can see what it's doing when it's going through there. Again, map at 100 kPa the whole way. Really obvious. So I'm going to get this wrapped up. We know the answer of what they need to do next. Whether it's just turning it on, hopefully, and then configuring it, and then going back to the map that I originally sent them, and they hopefully will have saved the original map. So every time you do it, you save it. I label them, and they've given it a map after a first drive. That's cool. They've given the maps a name. So you save it, log it, move it, change it, and if you have an issue, you can go back. And I've had days after racing where I've gone, that's all shit. Life hasn't got a plan, or it isn't running as good. Let's go back to yesterday when we knew it was going good, and we go back to yesterday. Especially if we've been chasing problems and we've just been changing stuff to try and make it run properly, and we find the problem, we can then go back. Okay. These guys have been playing with it. They will have pulled lots of fuel out of the numbers. I'm not going to go look at that. I've got a compare file if I wanted to. But guys, put a map sensor in. It's going to make a big difference to you.